aboard. It really was terrific. Speaking of terrific, two Hall of Famers here at Detroit basketball. President accounted for Zeke G. Hill. I'm with them. We've got a lot to get to here from coaches and players along the way here on Game Time, but let's start with Lopez. Zeke, you know this. I mean, even as stars, you got to have the others step up, and sometimes they got to give you one game in a series to get you there. This may be the one for the whole playoffs, but it's a big one, because he really helped will them to this win.
Not only did he help will them to this win, but you got to give him credit for totally revamping his game. You know, he was an all-star as a post-up center in this league. And as the game changed, he had to develop a three-point shot. And not only did he develop it, but he became a deadly weapon for Milwaukee. And when you look at his play tonight, you know that you're not surprised that he played well, because at one point in time in his career, he was a pillar and a carrier for a team that they went and they played through him. And tonight he stepped up big and he remembered some of those big moments that he had.
We talked, G, about second chance points and all those things that matter, especially if you're a team that shoots threes, which the Bucks do and normally do well, only 25% tonight. Part of this story you're going to hear from us, and I think from the players, they didn't even play well as a team.
Yeah.
And they won this game. But, G, you talk about Lopez, 4 blocks, 11 boards to go along with the 29 points, didn't turn the ball over, helped force a couple of turnovers, was good defensively. I mean, this is the kind of night you're looking for when you need some help and don't have that Giannis kind of a night, because for Giannis, kind of pedestrian, 7 of 16 with 24 points tonight.
Yeah, you know, I think Lopez and his overall activity, I mean, obviously he hit some big shots, but as you said, offensive rebounding, block shots, his presence was felt all over the court. And he just played big. I mean, I love what Isiah said in terms of changing his game as a young player. As a young player in his late 20s, you know, deciding, okay, I'm going to embrace the change of the game and start shooting more threes, but also have some toughness, 11 boards, just his energy, his activity. You said it best. He willed his team, and his team needed that because they were, you know, out of sorts, out of rhythm. The time off maybe hurt them a little bit. And I thought Toronto came out early with a sense of urgency and put together maybe their best first half of basketball collectively that I've seen in quite some time. But, you know, Brook Lopez, 5 guys in double figures. Eric Bledsoe almost was in double figures himself. It was a collective effort. It wasn't just, as you said, Giannis leading the way. The others stepped up and played big. Yeah. And that's what you expect at home.
Yes.
You know, on the road, you want your stars
More
to
difficult.
sort of come through for you. But at home, your bench player, your complementary players, you want them and expect them to play well, and they did here in Game 1.
We'll have a lot more, but one more thing on the Bucks before I want to get to Kawhi. And obviously, we'll have the coaches intermittently. But when you sit there and you look at the Bucks, Middleton an all-star, Eric Bledsoe was right on that fringe of playing like an all-star. Those 3 players shot 14 of 40 from the floor, 2 of 15 from 3. There's no way if I told you those numbers, you would think before the game they'd win this game. And they won the game. And Lopez and Brogdon, really the 2 players that stand out. Malcolm was terrific. They upped his minutes to 26 minutes, 15 points. He doesn't turn the ball over. He plays well defensively. He hit a couple of big threes. He was huge as well.
I thought Brogdon definitely was huge. You know, not only from an offensive standpoint, but defensively, I thought when they needed a stop, when they needed someone to really guard, he was able to shut down either Lowry, who had a great game, but I thought Brogdon got some key stops at the end. I thought whenever he was matched up against Kawhi, at least he made Kawhi work. And we heard Reggie Miller talking about, hey, Kawhi's getting tired. Kawhi's getting tired. And you can see at the end, particularly the last 3 minutes of the game, when Toronto needed a bucket. They never went to Kawhi, but I think fatigue had set in on Kawhi also. And I thought Reggie Miller hit the nail on the head when he kept pointing it out during the course of the game that Kawhi was wearing down and he didn't have enough offensive punch at the end of the game.
Part of figuring out how to get your stars at their best, and I'll use the term we use now, is load management within the game. And how many minutes, and understanding the usage. Yeah, Kawhi took all those shots, but he's also defending the best player on the other side. Yeah. Now you come into the series, 42 minutes for Siakam, 42 for Kawhi. That's a symptom, G, of what we talked about in pregame could be the difference in the series. That Toronto doesn't have any depth. I mean, Brogdon outscored their bench by himself, 15-12. You can't have that. You got to get some minutes from somebody else because Kawhi looked exhausted in the fourth quarter.
And look, he has every reason to be
Absolutely.
exhausted.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
He has certainly been fantastic, and his usage rate on both ends of the floor off the charts. And look, this is Toronto. This is who they are. They're going to go 8 deep, and they did that throughout the Philadelphia series. Maybe there's still some fatigue left over from that. But if you're Toronto, there's some encouraging things that happen here in this game. I mean, first of all, Kyle Lowry got back to being aggressive, playing, the way that we're accustomed to seeing him play. And quite honestly, it was a close game down the stretch. It could have gone a couple different ways. Danny Green had a turnover. There was a steal against Giannis in transition. 2 bad three-pointers by Toronto. So, 8 points, but, there was a stretch there with about a minute and a half left where if Toronto executes a little bit better and maybe knocks down a shot here, they could have easily stole this game.
But this is part, I want to follow and ask you about this, G, because that's part of it is I wrote down 1:10 to go. Raptors are down by 4. Giannis drives to the lane. We were all talking about it as it happened. A steal. I think it might have been Lopez who helped with that steal. They get a steal, and they go the other way. Danny Green, yes, he's open in the corner, but Danny Green didn't. He hit 1-3 in the game. He took the shot. Then Kyle, off a long rebound, just comes in. Deep shot, not really in rhythm, and you never get Kawhi the touch. Now, you got a 2-possession game with 1:10 to go. You got it right. You need like the new version of Kyle to come back for that moment, don't you think? I'm not trying to get on a guy who's 10, 15.
No.
But in that moment, you need to slow it down and isolate Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, and the basketball gods had given you a gift in terms of getting the offensive rebound and getting it
Correct.
back.
Right.
And when you get that basketball as the point guard, you got to slow it down and then try to get it to Kawhi.
Right. Who could and one if anything else. Here's Coach Bud.